Okay, welcome to Knitting with Angel. Of course, the two basic essentials you need are knitting needles of pretty much any size, but these are good for beginners. They're 6 millimeters. And then some yarn. I'm using dark just so that you can see what I'm doing. And then, of course, some scissors to finish the project off. So first, we're going to learn about casting. To do this, you take your yarn and your two fingers from your left hand. You just spin it around, push it through your two fingers so that you make a loop for one of your knitting needles. So what you do is you take that loop and make sure it's snug on there, but you don't want it too incredibly snug. One of the important things is to keep the casting loose enough so that it can slide back and forth, which you'll need to do throughout your project, but not too tight that it doesn't slide, but not too loose that it just flies off. What I'm doing here is I'm basically putting my needle through the first loop, then I'm taking this needle, pulling it through the two needles, and then with this needle I'm going behind that loop I just made and then making that loop go over the left needle and then pulling it to a snug. Now, for an example of some castings that I've already done, this, you don't want it so loose that it just flies off on accident. But you don't want it so tight that it's like really hard to move. So try to make a good balance, which you've seen in this so far because it slides nicely. So, moving on. You're going to go through the first loop, then you're going to take this thread, go between the two needles, and then you're going to go between the two stitches, and you're going to pull that loop loose enough so that it can go around this left needle, and then pull it, making sure it doesn't slip off of this needle. And this is the beginning of your casting. This is going to be your row. So I'm going to make a few more just so that you can see what I'm doing here. So you pull it around. Just so that you can make a good casting. Go through again. Pull it through. And use that loop and pull it snug around there. Careful. And then pull it through. And the way you can count the stitches is simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually, and I'm betting you pretty much every single pattern will have more than 6, but for the sake of the demonstration, I'll stick to less. Now the next step that I'll teach you is the knit stitch. Knit stitch is fun, and it's the most simple stitch that you can use in knitting. So pull this enough so that you can get the needle through. It's one of the things about tight casting is that you can't get your needle through. So this is pretty much the same as you learned before, except this time slide it all the way up and take off the first part. This is going to attach the thread between the two needles. This is good. It looks weird, but it's good. And the yarn that you're going to be feeding is going to need to be on this side. And many people have different ways to hold the yarn so they can feed it, but I just do it this way. So, you're going to take your right needle and take the next loop, loop it around just like you did in between for the casting, but slip it off. Okay? So take the next loop right there, loop it around in between the two needles, and slip it off just like that. And this is starting off your first row. So knit through, go around, and then take it off. Go through the first loop, go around, and then take it off. Through the loop, around, and then take it off. And that is your first row. Okay, so it should look something like that. Be sure not to get this part into any of your project. Alright, now turn it around so that it looks like this. So that the free side is on this. It's on the right side of the needle. Now, to start a new row, and this will make you a scarf if you just keep on doing this. If you just take this, go around, just like you started the other row. And as you can see, it's connecting again. So just keep on going like that. Go through the first loop, make another loop, and then take it off. Take another, go around, and take it off. Go to the next loop, make the yarn go around, and take it off. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that you can see what I'm doing here. Of course it won't look like that, but get the point. And I'll make one more row. So go through the loop, weave around, take it off, go through the loop, make a loop, take off the loop, go through, make one, take it off, go through, make one, take it off, go through, make one, and take it off. So there you have, what, 3 rows or something like that, and you can start to see the pattern forming. But for the sake of time, I'm going to show you the last part, which is casting off. This is the fun part. Now, you already know the moves that it takes to cast off, except for one. So what you're going to do is you're going to make enough room to make a normal knit stitch, which you already learned how to do, but you're going to make 2 of those, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take the back stitch, the first one that you made over here, and then you're going to carefully slide that over the other stitch that you made, so there's only 1 stitch over here. Then you're going to take 1 stitch from over here, so that there's 2 over here again. Then you're going to take the back stitch, and you're going to carefully slip it over the other stitch. Careful not to make it too incredibly tight. So make another stitch. Okay. And then carefully move that background there. Oh, so carefully. This is a difficult part. But if you want to cast it off right, this is the way to do it. So you just keep on making 2 stitches on the right needle. And then it takes some practice to get to the back stitch. And then to be able to, whoa, yeah, it takes some practice. Alright, so now we're down to our last one. And this is where it gets fun. You're probably wondering what's going to happen next. Okay, so you carefully, oh so carefully take that off. So now you're down to 1 stitch. And this, of course, would be the rest of your scarf, by the way. But, yeah. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take your scissors and snip it off. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to tighten this just to make sure. Try to hold your loop and just slip that out. Set it down. Set it down. Take your yarn and just go through your loop. And just like that, you have a scarf. Mini scarf. So this is where you started your knitting, but of course it looks smaller than that since you'll get used to it. And then this is your pattern. So there you have your scarf. Good luck.